Hello, and welcome to Paul's Cartoon Club. Hope you can see me all right. Hope you can hear me okay. Let me tell you a few things. First of all, welcome cartoonists, because every single person who joins is now a cartoonist. Because the thing that makes you a cartoonist is you draw cartoons. So hopefully you'll be doing that along with me. Before I get started, you're going to need some paper. So if you haven't got paper yet, just simple printer paper is absolutely fine. So I'll give you a few seconds to get it, and also a pencil, just a normal pencil, any hardness, that'll be fine. Make sure it's nice and sharp. And if you've got a rubber as well, this one's got a rubber on the end, then that will serve you very well. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Paul Solomons. I draw the cartoons for the Jewish News, and have done so for years and years and years. And I hope if you have seen any of them, I hope you've enjoyed them. And if you haven't enjoyed them, I'm sorry. What can I say? So let me tell you a bit about what we're going to do. I'm going to take you through a few tips and tricks that will help you improve your cartooning. Now, I know what you're going to say. I've got this like an analog PowerPoint. I know what you're going to say. I can't draw for toffee. It doesn't matter. Being a cartoonist isn't about being a great artist, as you can tell. It's just about being able to get your message across. That is the most important thing. So it really doesn't matter if you can't draw very well. The most elaborate picture drawn wonderfully won't be any good at all if the message you're trying to get across doesn't come through. Whereas stickmen, absolutely fine. If that works, then that's great. So don't worry about that. And this is the other thing. Where we are now is a very special place, because we may be all locked away inside, and I don't know if you can hear, there's a big storm outside, which means that even more people are going to be inside. But it's your world. This is your world. It's forget everything that you've learnt about what can and can't happen, because in actual fact, in a cartoon world, absolutely anything is possible. And the only thing that limits what you're able to do is your imagination. Now, going back to what I said before, it's all about getting the message across, but you want to try and do that in your own special way. So I'm going to be drawing this afternoon, and hopefully you will be joining me. But I don't necessarily want you to draw exactly like me. You're welcome to, that's fine, and we'll all end up with something quite fun at the end. But if you want to do your own thing as we go along, if you want to draw eyes and noses in your own special way, great, go ahead, do that. The only thing I will say is, if you try not to jump ahead too far, that will be good, because I might tell you something that you didn't know, and then you'll have to be going at your paper with the rubber, and who knows what that leads to. You go through the paper, and then you've got to throw it away, get a new piece, and start again, and then try and catch me up, and and then where will we be? As far as the quality of this goes, I hope it's clear enough for you. I hope you can see roughly what's going on. Unfortunately, I haven't got access to the whizziest equipment in the world. It's a bit of a clockwork setup, but hopefully it's enough for you to see, and it'd be interesting to hear from you how you are getting on along the way. And I have got little live comments down the side that I will be looking at, so if you want to leave me any nice messages, I'd love to hear from you. Okay, this is the most important thing. Have fun. I want you to have fun doing this. Very, very important. If you're not having fun when you're drawing cartoons, then something is wrong. Okay. And this other thing, no rules. Very important as well. Okay. So let's see what we can do. Now, we know what time it is at the moment. It is Pesach, and you will be munching away on your matzahs and all the associated stuff. And that is a time when we commemorate Moses leading the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. And And I thought we'd do a picture of a character running away, because that's in keeping with what's going on. Actually, whatever time we were doing, I would have done a character running away, but it kind of fits in now. We may also be joined by people who aren't Jewish, so welcome to you, and I hope you enjoyed the broadcast, and happy Easter to you as well. Yes, you'll see that Catholics get the Pope and Jews get me. So I hope you enjoy what you see. And let's do some drawing. So first of all, I'm going to get rid of this. Sorry if the floor's a bit bouncy, by the way. You might find that everything jumps up and down a bit at times. That's because it's just bouncy. Great for dancing, not so good for drawing. Right, I'm going to get rid of this. There we go. Fantastic. All gone, all gone. And I'll just wipe it dry, because I've been using a wet cloth for that. Now, something else I want to do, or I want to tell you about this, is that when you're drawing, I don't want you to press too hard with your pencil. There are going to be two kinds of lines that you're going to be doing. Guidelines, which will be very light, just touching the paper, just enough for you to see. And then when you're happy with the picture and are ready to go over with something a bit more deliberate and permanent, then you can press much harder, and then you'll get your solid line at the end. And the reason I don't want you to press too hard with the guidelines is because they might go wrong. It does happen. We all make mistakes along the way, and if that happens, I want you to be able to rub it out with your rubber nice and easily, nice and quickly, and it won't leave a horrible indentation in the paper. All right, so as I say, we're going to draw a character running. Let me find my pen. Here's my pen. Brilliant. Okay, so what I want you to do is this, because part of this is going to be a little task for you to use your imagination, which I know every single person who's watching this, and I know that you have the most wonderful imaginations in the world. So I want you to use your imagination. Over one side of your paper, let's use a piece of, let's grab a piece of paper, or I'll grab the whole stack of paper. How about that? We're going to do it landscape, like that. That's portrait, that's landscape. Okay, oh, there we go. Let's flatten it a bit on the screen. And what I want you to do is draw your character only on one side of the paper. So it's up to you which side, but I want the character to look like they're running in the direction closest to being off the page. So if it's this side, that way, and if you're drawing on this side, that way, they'll be facing that side. And the reason for that is, when we finished our little bit of fun here, I want you to go away and I want you to imagine and draw whatever is chasing our character. Okay, so I'll leave that to you to think about for a while, but we'll start off with our drawing. Oh, we've got a siren going by now. Not only storms, we have sirens as well. It's all happening here in Mill Hill. So yes, what I want you to do is think about which side you want your character to be running. I'm going to just draw here. Now I'm going to draw some very rough lines, just very loose, and it doesn't matter if they're not the right ones yet. All I want to do is get a basic idea of our running character. So here we go. I'm going to draw a head. So bear in mind, you need this small enough to add a body as well. So here we go. I'm going to draw a little head up here. It's quite a big head, actually. And you'll see I went round and round and round. And that's great. That's how I like to draw. And I think if you start drawing with this, just getting some, remember those very light guidelines, but just do lots and lots of lines. Somewhere in there will be the perfect line that you're after. And bear in mind, these are only guidelines anyway. So we just want an idea of the shape. And then you can go in afterwards and add all the detail. If you start off with the detail, it doesn't always work. This is something I found when I was animating. I do quite a lot of animation and things like that. And what I often found was that if I started off very deliberately with the nose and then the mouth and then carried on, I'd be drawing something that was almost the finished piece, but I'd get some way along and then suddenly I'd look at it and think, actually, that's not quite how I want it to be. So I'd have to go back and rub out all the dark solid lines that I'd engraved the page with, and I was in a terrible mess. So what I found, bearing in mind with animation, you draw lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of pictures. If I started off with just lines to check, little guidelines to check that everything was in the right place and moving nicely, then I'd be in a happy place. So draw this head. Bear in mind, you've got to have room for a body down the bottom. And again, remember, over this side. So I'm going to be coming off this way. So imagine the side of my paper is something like that, if you can see that. Hopefully you can. Now, the next thing I want to do is talk to you about how we make our character look really good and solid. And that's, I want you to think of the character's head as an orange. And what's an orange divided up into? I hear you cry. Well, I don't hear you cry, actually. I'm here all on my own. But it's actually divided up, as you know, into segments. And the segments of an orange give us a very nice idea of how to draw our character, because I'll draw a little bit down here. If you imagine there's our little orange, and I'm going to divide it into little segments like that. There we go. Very shaky segments. And then I'm going to draw a thing across there as well. Now, this allows us to draw our character in what's called a 3/4 view. Now, if you imagine, I'm facing you straight on like that. There we go. That's me in all my glory. Facing you, you can see this is called full face. And what I'm doing, I'm looking straight at you, but you can't see, and particularly with these glasses on. Yes, I wasn't wearing my glasses in my little picture, the Cartoon Club logo picture, but I didn't know I'd have to read all the things on the side of the of the laptop as I was filming. So I've got these on. Hope they don't distract you too much. But anyway, as you can see, looking straight ahead, you can see the shape of my face. You can see all my features, but you can't see the depth, the ins and outs of my face. So that's something that you can use full face. I've got a very friendly caricaturist who always draws full face, and it works really well. If I was to go to this one, this is called profile, then that's great. But you see the size of this great big honking hooter here, but you can't see half the face, and therefore you haven't got as much to work with when you're coming to do expressions and things like that. And hopefully, if we get to do more of these broadcasts, I'll tell you more about expressions next time. But if we do this thing using, like the orange, if you imagine turning it slightly into one of the, instead of the middle segment, we go to one of the other segments. I'll go to the side here now so you can see. So instead of straight ahead, which is, there we go, I'll do a nose there. Instead of that being the full face front view, or that being the profile view, we go to either that, or indeed anywhere along, and we get what's called a 3/4 view. And I'll look over there for a minute, so I can't see you anymore, but there we go. So that's a 3/4 view. What we get with that is we can see the size of this, and we can see both eyes for the expressions, and it gives us the best of both worlds so that our pictures can be really, really engaging and have that certain sort of slightly 3D look about them. So they look like they really have a proddable look. I always think of them, you can prod them. Right, let me get rid of this bit down here because we're going to need to use that area soon. So let's go back up to our little head here. And I'm going to imagine that our character is running this way, and I'm going to draw a guideline. So I will do it as a little dotted line because on a whiteboard, I can't really do light lines. So I'm going to do a dotted line. I want you to draw a little guideline like this in this shape. So slightly curved, dun, 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 all the way down like that. So it's curved outwards. Can you see that? Hopefully just about. And that already gives us a little bit of depth to our character's face. And then I'm going to draw another one, and I think I'll curve it upwards slightly. So we've got that like that. So we've got our, what is now a sphere, a ball that we're going to draw the character's head on. And the other thing about this is we're going to draw the simplest of faces. We can draw a very, very easy face for our character, and then you can add some detail yourself afterwards, or you can go away and do another one. But let me tell you, the way I'm going to show you how to do this, you can use with much simpler characters or much more complicated characters. it all works the same way. So I'm going to add some basic features to the character, and then I'll show you, we'll do the body and get that in place. Okay, so let's just draw the very, very simple, squeaky pen, very simple nose. So all I've done is an oval for the nose, and that'll do fine for now. And then I'm going to do the eyes, and anyone who has seen the way I draw knows that I often draw characters' eyes overlapping. So you don't have to do this. As I said, if you want to draw your own style of eyes, I know a lot of kids love to do anime style eyes. Feel free to do that. I'm happy with that. But I'm just going to draw one big eye here like this, and another one here as if it's overlapping. There we go. And obviously I've drawn it behind the nose because the nose will stick out further, and so the eyes will be behind it. I'll give you a second to do that, and then we'll move on to the next bit. And what we're going to do is add pupils. And again, how you do your pupils is entirely up to you. You can draw them just as little dots. You can draw them as big, shiny things, whatever you want. I tend to do this. I'm actually going to draw, bearing in mind our character is running away from something over here, I'm going to draw the eyes looking backwards like this. There we go. And what I like to do is put a little glint of white in the eye so that it looks like they're a little bit shiny, like our eyes are. There we go. Good. So again, I'll just give you a second to catch up with that. Hopefully you haven't run ahead yet. We've got quite a bit to do, and we've already had 17 minutes. Wow, it's flying by. So now our character is running away. Now it's up to you at this stage what you want our character to be running away from, and of course whether he's running away having fun or running away scared or any other possible way that or feeling that they might be experiencing at that time. I'm going to do scared because I think he's running away from something very scary. So I'm going to do that expression, and when we have things like that to deal with, we have to think about the expressions that the character is going to have. So what I tend to do, if I'm doing a live class in front of people, I would tell them all to pull a face of the expression they want. So I would say, everybody now pull a scary face, and they would all go like this, you see. But as I can't see you, I'm going to trust you that you will do that. Okay, and of course, if you're drawing your character happy, pull a happy face. But after 3, I want you to pull the face of your character. So 1, 2, 3, okay, now, what you will notice if you hold that expression is that your eyebrows and your mouth are doing certain things. So first of all, your eyebrows, when you're scared, they go up. They go up. So I'm going to draw the character's eyebrows nice and high like this. There we go. There we go, like that. And then the mouth, as I put it, was wide open and scared. So I'll do that. There we go. Big, wide open mouth like that. And you could even do a tongue that's in a sort of high up, screaming style. So I'll draw like that. Then I'm going to blacken the inside of the mouth so that you can see what's going on. Of course, if your character is happy, I won't do all the expressions now because that's for another time. But if your character's happy, everybody pull a happy face. Again, you see your eyebrows go up, so you can use the same eyebrows, but a big smiley mouth, maybe a grin with teeth, maybe with just a tongue, or maybe even just a big smile. Up to you, whatever you want to do. So we've done that. Now, and then I'm going to add an ear over here. So if you imagine that this segment around here, if we're still talking about oranges, comes around like that, I'm going to draw an ear here, and I'll do a very simple ear like that. There are lots of ways of drawing ears, and it's up to you how you want to draw them. There is a certain way I do them, which I'm not going to do now, but what I'll do in the middle of this ear is just a sort of J, there we go, that that shows there's something going on in there. If you actually look at a real person's ear, if you've ever got the opportunity to look at someone's ear, not at the moment, obviously, then you'll see that there's a lot of stuff going on there, and it's quite difficult to draw. And I would never recommend you drawing all that in your cartoons, because very often, if you happen to be lucky enough to get your cartoons printed or out there somewhere, you'll find that very often this thing that you've drawn very big on your A4 sheet of paper is shrunk down to something quite tiny. And then all this detail that you spent ages on just either disappears or becomes some sort of blotch in the middle of the page. So don't worry about that. We'll just add a little bit more to this character's head, and then we'll go on and start with the body. Okay, so we've still got these are only guidelines, so we only need to use them to give ourselves an idea of the character's shape. Now, a character's running in that direction, and if you're running in a direction and you're lucky enough to have hair, oh dear, touchy, that one. If you are, then something happens to your hair. Do you know what happens to your hair when you're running? Well, mine, it fell out, but with you, hopefully, if you've got enough of it, it'll flow in the wind. So I'm going to draw our character with hair that is flowing back and flying back around in the wind like that. Just very simply like this. There we go. And I've given the character sort of straight hair. There we go. And we'll put that round as the side of that. I'll rub out some of these guidelines as we go so you can see roughly what I'm doing. There we go. So that's flying back in the wind because the character's running along. And then I'm going to add a little bit of shape to the character's face. So I'll come round to this down here, again using the guidelines purely as guides. That's all they need to be. And then down here at the bottom, a bit of a chin, and then up to right next to the character's ear. And then I think we'll add a couple of extra bits here, a little line there, a laughter line, and around here I'll just broadly put the top of the head. And you'll see that these guidelines have helped us get that nicely into shape. Incidentally, as you can see, this eyebrow here is just floating a little bit above the character's head. But as I said, if I can find it, somewhere here. All these pieces of paper gone. Ah, must be here. There we go. No rules, so we don't care. Okay. So that's roughly our character's face. If you like, you can put another ear over this side to suggest that there is one there with just a little line there, just to suggest it, but you don't need to. So let's move on to the character's body. We've got the head here, and if you're running along, now you've seen lots of cartoons, I'm sure, and sometimes the characters run along like this, leaning backwards, but sometimes, and usually, you'll see them running along, leaning forwards, and that is what our character is going to do. So I want you to draw another little oval. You can do it as a guideline, and we're going to go like this. And don't worry about going over what you've done already. I'm going to do it very loosely once again. There we go. And you'll see it's really quite small because this character is going to have a great big head. And that's the thing, no rules. If your character has a big head and a little body, that's fine. That's probably funnier than if they're normally proportioned. Similarly, a tiny little head and a great big body, fantastic. Love to see that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add some guides for the arms and legs. And so let's see what we do first. First of all, we'll do the legs. And character running, so they're going to have one leg out the back here, and I'm just going to draw a couple of lines to give us an idea of where it is with, there we go, a little oval at the end, just to suggest that we've got a leg and a foot. And then we're going to draw another one. So this one is the one that's nearest to us. And so we're going to draw the other one coming from behind him like that. And we'll do it up in the air like that, shall we? There we go. And again, just enough to guide us. I could probably make one of them either longer or shorter. I think I'll do that. I think I'll make that one a little bit shorter. I think I want it to be shorter. There we go. So maybe like that. Does that work better? Kinda. We'll know when we get on. But that's the thing. That's the thing about these guidelines. If I had drawn everything really, really detailed, then I'd suddenly find I wasn't happy with the way I had done something, and I'd have to spend a lot more time fixing it. That involved just rubbing out one line and redrawing the foot at the end, and that's it. So we've got the character running along, looking very scared. So I hope that's working for you at the moment. Now, next we're going to add the arms, and here's the important thing. I would normally demonstrate this when you can see my legs as well, but you can't. So I'll have to explain it. When you're running along, or when you're walking along, you'll find that your arms go like this, and your legs move as well, but they don't necessarily move at the same time. So if you imagine your left arm is forward, your left leg wouldn't be forward. That would be ridiculous. There we go. You see, look, I've got another one here. Don't be so ridiculous. Doing it like that, everything forward, and then the other way like that. No, that's just silly. It's actually opposites. They work opposite. So if we can see this is the leg nearest to us, and it is pointing backwards. So the arm that's nearest to us here, there we go, I'll draw it like this, is going forwards. And similarly, as this, his right leg, not to us on the right, it's on our left, but his right leg is pointing forwards. So his arm here is going backwards. There we go. So far, so good. Everyone happy? Everyone happy? I haven't had any comments yet, so I'm assuming that either nobody is watching or you're all perfectly happy. Hopefully, you're all happy. So let's add some detail to our character. Mine appears to be a boy. Yours may be a boy, could be a girl, could be an animal, could be an alien, could be anything. It's entirely up to you. It's your world and your imaginations. So enjoy yourselves. Okay, so I'm going to draw, first of all, I'll draw the body, and we'll draw a little line across here, slightly curved, once again, that will suggest the bottom of his t-shirt. And you might want to draw a long neck. I often don't even bother with necks on my characters. I put their heads down and their bodies up, and that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to come around here and just make this line a little bit thicker on my guideline, like that. And then I'm going to come down to the other side of the body. But as you can see, it's fairly egg-shaped, but I want to add a bit of shape to the back. So I'm going to come down here like this and just arch that back slightly, like that. There we go. And you'll see that if I rub out some of these guidelines, there we go. That's a much better shape. It adds a little bit extra to what we're doing. And we've got down here where we've got his bum and his waist area and all that, and so we can now start on the legs. So I'm going to draw some legs using these as guides. It's up to you. You could put your character in shorts, you could put them in skirts, you could put them in trousers, whatever you want. I'm going to draw jeans on this character. So let's see what we can do. So I'm just going to use the guidelines, as they should be, and come down on the outside of them. And I'm going to add a couple of creases there. Can you see those? Just a little curve in either place there. That's a bit of a crease. And then come down here, this side, and there we go. That's that leg. I'll rub out the inside guide so you can see exactly what I've done there. There we go. And you can see we've got one leg there. Sometimes you find jeans have some thread or some sewing down the side, a sort of seam, and you can add that if you like. So I think I'm going to bring that back just slightly there. I want his knee to be a little bit sooner there. There we go. That should help. It does help. Good. And now we'll do the other one. And obviously this one is coming from behind his body. So we can just lift it up. It doesn't matter if actually his waist is high. It's coming from higher than his waist, but that doesn't matter. That's funny. That's what cartooning's about. There we go. Good. There we are. And down here. There we go, a little bit of creasing, and there we are. And that's leg number 2. And hopefully you can see already that our character is running, especially when I jump up and down and it all moves, it looks like he is running. But we don't have the seam on the inside of the jeans, so we don't have to worry about that. I'm going to draw shoes. He'll be in trainers. Let's do some trainers. So again, using the guides, just for the record, that is fine as a shoe. If you want to draw your character's foot like that, that's great. Everyone will know it's a foot, and that's fine. Similarly, if you want to draw a hand, that's fine. That's a hand. Everyone will know. But as we're going to make this spectacular, we're going to spend a bit of extra time on the detail of the foot and the hand when we get to it. So let's do this trainer here. And I'm going to start off with just a line there, just a line, and then the guideline I'm going to almost ignore. It's there to tell me where the foot should go, but I'm going to go a bit beyond it. I'm going to go up here, drawing a toe cap. The shoes I draw are always quite bulbous, as you'll know if you've ever seen any of my drawings. If I rub out that bit of guideline there, you'll see the shape that I've added. Now, I could, if I wanted to, add a sole and a heel to it, but as it's a trainer, I'm going to, let's do a nice, let's do some tread on the bottom of it. There we go, like that. There we go, all in a straight line. Not realistic, but this is a cartoon. And now I'm going to add a couple of extra bits. We'll add a front panel on the toe, one little bit on the back, and a couple of laces. I wouldn't bother drawing the laces as proper laces with everything and the knot and the bows and all this, because again, just like I said before, it can just disappear into the middle of nowhere when it's published, and you've wasted your time. But that should be good enough. Those little suggestions of laces tend to be okay. I'm going to do exactly the same on the other foot, but I'm going to do it upside down. Now you, lucky people, have the ability to turn your paper round. So do that if you want to. You can try it upside down if you like, but it's no fun. So turn your paper and you can just do exactly the same as you did on there on the other foot. I'll do it here. Can't turn my whiteboard, unfortunately. There we go. There's the toe cap and the shape. Hopefully it's roughly right. I'll draw the tread on the bottom coming along here. And then the front. There we go. And also the laces, or the suggestion of laces. So hopefully that's good. I hope I haven't gone too far ahead. I'll just give you a second to catch up with these. Let me tell you a little bit of something before we move on to the arms. There is something about cartooning. Obviously, I draw them for all different reasons. Sometimes it's just to make a joke. Sometimes it's to make a point. Sometimes it's just to advertise something. There are so many reasons for drawing cartoons. It's always fun to do. Some people will love what you do. Some people won't. It's also something that people will not always enjoy, but sometimes it's fun just to get the letters from people who have been not offended, but who haven't enjoyed what you've done so much. It means that they've looked at it at least. Sometimes you put your work out there, no one knows, or you don't know if anyone's even seen it. So it's nice when you hear something, even if they hate you. So you need a fairly thick skin to be a cartoonist. You have to be able to take criticism. I tend to lock myself away crying in a room for about 2 weeks whenever I get a letter complaining about me. But I'm working on it. So let's move on. Oh yeah, here's another thing that I said. Yes, because obviously as a cartoonist, you can make points, and very often people were brought in, cartoonists at time of war. You'll see a lot of cartoons around now telling you to wash your hands and keep away from people, all things like that. You have the power to influence people's actions and thoughts, because you can say things with a cartoon that you can't often say with real people. But with great power comes great responsibility. That's what Spider-Man's uncle said to him. And it's true. Always think about who you're going to upset and try not to. And you'll have fun with your cartoons. Anyway, back to the show. Hopefully you've all caught up now. Let's do the arms and the hands. I'm going to do the arms nice and easily here. So there we go, a nice little straight line there. And again, some little, just all I'm doing, I don't know if you can see largely enough, but all I'm doing, I'll draw it bigger down here, on the elbow and where the knee crease is just a couple of little curves like that just suggest that the cloth is bunched up, and that often works really well. So I've done that, and then I'm going to carry on and draw the rest of the sleeve. I'm not going to bother with a cuff or anything on this one, just come down here. I like to sometimes draw a little elbow sticking out there. There we go. So we'll draw that there. And you'll see if I rub out my guidelines that we've now got a sleeve, and he's running forwards. And then I'll do the same thing coming out of the back. So we'll come to here and another couple of bunched up bits coming here and an elbow, and there we go, that's sleeve number 2, and I'll get rid of that guideline as well. Good. So he's nearly there. He's nearly there. He's running away, but his arms aren't holding anything. There's nothing, no hands at the end. We've just got these little balls. And what we're going to do is turn those into hands right now. Now there are 2 hands going on here because he's running along like this. So we've got this hand. Well, this is the easiest hand you will ever get to draw, which is a wonderful thing. Unfortunately, he's also doing this with the other hand, you see? So that's one of the hardest to draw. But I'll show you how to draw both. And bear in mind, we're not trying to draw real hands, we're drawing cartoon hands. So they don't have to be too realistic. And just as I said before, just a couple of squiggles will be absolutely fine. But we're going to draw them now. Before I do, there's the great 3-finger, 4-finger debate that you may or may not be aware of. If you look at many Disney cartoons and Warner Brothers cartoons, and indeed later cartoons that are around now, you will see that many of the characters have 3 fingers and a thumb instead of 4 fingers and a thumb. And the reason for this is that back in the early days of animation, bearing in mind that when you're animating, you're drawing lots and lots of pictures for every second, up to 24 pictures for every single second. And if you're doing an hour-long film, that's a lot of pictures and a lot of hands, and indeed a lot of fingers. So I think it was the Disney studio who established that if you got rid of one of those fingers, you actually saved a lot of time, and the hand could still do all the things that a 4-finger and thumb hand could do. Now, there are no rules, remember. So if you want 4 fingers and a thumb, or 3 fingers and a thumb, or 15 fingers and 24 thumbs, absolutely fine. You can do whatever you want. I tend to draw 3 fingers and a thumb for all this stuff. There is one publication I draw for where they actually insist that I draw 4 fingers and a thumb, but my favorite is 3. And if you look at Snow White, Disney's first ever full-length feature film, you'll see that Snow White, being quite a realistic character, she has 4 fingers and a thumb. But if you look at the dwarves, they've got 3 fingers and a thumb, and they're much more cartoony and, to my mind, more fun. Anyway, let's add our hands here. Now, this hand is going to go in front of the character's face. I'm going to just rub out a bit of his chin just so I can see what I'm doing. And like I said, it's this one. It's the clenched fist. And you'll see that here we have the little lump, the knuckle for the thumb, and then we have 4 knuckles at the top. And indeed, I'm going to do 3. So what I'm going to do is this. I'll come around here and do a little curve like that. That's the thumb, knuckle, and then 1, 2, 3. And bear in mind that The little finger is the smallest, so the knuckle doesn't stick out quite as much. And the middle one is the one that sticks out the most. So there you can see he's already got what looks like a nicely clenched finger. Now, I'll show you down here how we're going to do the other one, because I want to show you nice and big, and then we'll do it on our character. So let's draw. This is what we've got at the moment. And then if you look at this, my version of it, indeed, you'll see that when you've got your fist clenched, and you can look at your own, I'd say have a go. One of the best things you can do is model for yourself when you need to see something, particularly with your hands. So as you can see, my thumb bends over a couple of fingers, and the others are clenched over there. And we've got a nice sort of heel and ball of the hand here that we can use. So I'll do it nicely straight up here, and then we'll turn it. You can turn your paper once again, but I'm going to do it upside down over here. So what we start off with, as you can see, is the thumb, and I do it nice and round. I do very bulbous fingers like this. That's the thumb coming round. That will be the one going over the top of the bent fingers. And then I'm going to come around here and draw one coming up like that, and thumb is covering it like that. You can see I've drawn an extra line there. There we go. That makes it look like the thumb is covering the end of the finger, just as it does. Now, as you can see on my clenched fist, it actually covers the second finger as well. As my character is only going to have 3 fingers, it'll just be to the end of the first one. But then nice and easily, a couple of curves here, one like that. That's the second finger. Another one here, the third finger, and then I'll come around here and draw the bottom of it. That's the sort of heel of the hand there. So that's our cartoon hand. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And as you can imagine, if you're running along like this, I don't know if you, let's do it here. I'll do it this way. You'll see, no, that doesn't work either. I'm in the wrong place. Maybe there, there we go. No, I can't work it out. I'm looking at it one way round. It's driving my head into some sort of explosion. But anyway, I'll just tell you, it's easier. The thumb is going to be closest to the body. So I'm going to draw that first shape, which is almost like a 6 there. Can you see? On there, it was like an E because I did it the other way around. But as I'm doing it upside down, it's like a 6 there. It doesn't quite join up, as you can see. And then I'm going to draw finger number 1, like that. And then finger number 2, finger number 3. And then round there like that. And as you can see, we've now got both of the hands and the arms going. I'm going to rub out that little hand down here, because we're very nearly done. Very nearly done. Hopefully you're drawing along with me and you've found it fun so far. A couple of things we're going to do. First of all, it's nice if your character is running to have them just slightly off the ground, because then it makes it look like they're moving along nice and fast. And there are 2 things we can do to help with that. First of all, we can add a shadow to the ground. And I'm going to do that with what's called hatching, which is just some lines like this. I do a lot of hatching in my cartoons just to add a bit of shadow, because certainly in the Jewish news cartoons, they're usually published in black and white. And so any shading is done with just this hatching. And as you can see, straight away, our character looks like he's slightly up in the air, running along, and it gives him a little bit of extra bounce. And the other thing we can do is this. We can add some speed lines. There we go, just straight lines like this. And again, if we get a chance to do some more of these, I can tell you all about these, what are called special effects that we can add to our characters to give them more movement. We're drawing still characters, but a little bit of movement really works. So we've now got our character running along, looking scared of something. We don't know what yet, but hopefully you're still thinking about that. Something else we can add. There we go, some sweat coming off, because when we're scared, we all sweat. And I've made them so they're slightly going backwards because he's running. Okay, now there's one other thing you always need to do to your cartoons, very, very, very important, and that is to sign them. And I, as you may know, if you've ever seen my work in the Jewish News, I always sign like this. I don't want you to draw, I don't want you to sign like this, I want you to do your own, by the way. So there we go, that's that and that. And you can guarantee that one day, if you sign all of your work, one day you'll have your grandchildren appearing on Antiques Roadshow with this little picture that you drew, and they'll say, oh, I wonder what it's worth. And the person, the expert, will say, well, if it wasn't signed, it would be something to throw in the skip on the way out. But as it is signed, it's now worth 25 billion of your Earth credits or whatever we'll be using by then. But that's basically it. That's the picture. What I want you to do now is to draw whatever it is that you think your character is being chased by. I'd love to see your pictures, and I don't know if there is a link that you'll be able to use. I've actually got, you can indeed, if you want, send them straight to me. I've set up a little email address there. If you want that, you can send it straight to me and I'll have a look at it. May I say, incidentally, that the past X number of years, I think I've actually done 2 stints of drawing at the Jewish News, way back when Stuart Brodkin was the editor, and in the last 10 years or so with the wonderful Richard Ferrer as the editor, and I've had an absolute ball. And I hope you've enjoyed what I've been doing, but I've enjoyed it immensely, and I'm very, very sorry that it looks like it's going. Hopefully there will be a phoenix rising up from the ashes, but we'll have to wait and see. But I've had a whale of a time. Please let me know how you've got on with your drawing. I'd love to see your pictures. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye. Thank you.